everybody. Today I'm doing the finishing on this with all Crystalac products. I'm trying to get away from the epoxies, so I started experimenting with this, and this seems to work pretty good. So I'm going to share with you how I do this with Crystalac products. First of all, some of the products that I'm using, so everybody kind of is on the same page, are, I sealed everything with shellac, and then I background painted the white in universal white, and then the black is done in black satin. I'm going to use for applying my glitter and all my top coats, I'm going to use Bright Tone top coat. So those are the basic products that I'm going to be using. Some of the supplies, if I got little cups for mixing. I'm going to use syringes for application, also some brushes for application, and then my various glitters. So let's get on with how I do this. Like I said, the first thing that I did is I sealed everything with shellac. I then sanded it down to 320. I put a base coat of Bright Tone down, and then I put color coats down for my base in black satin and universal white. Those all have been left to dry at least 4 hours between coats. So now we're ready to apply the glitter. One thing that's also important, my temperature here today is about 70 degrees, and the relative humidity is about 40%. So not too, pretty dry, and minimum temperature of 70. I always let, being that I'm in Ohio, we get a lot of cool weather this time of the year. So my shop is heated, but I make sure that all of my materials are up to at least 65 degrees. So I heat the thing for 24 hours so all the materials in my shop are up to temperature. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Now, the plan is I'm going to use this dark glitter where it's dark. I'm going to use this gold glitter on these letters, and then I'm going to use this blue glitter on the numbers and the lines for degrees. So that's what the plan is. So let's start with the black glitter. So what I want to do is take a little bit of this black glitter and put it in my mixing container, and I'm going to put a pretty ample amount in there. Okay. Then I'm going to take some Bright Tone and put in there, and we're going to mix this together. So all I'm going to do is take a syringe, pick up some Bright Tone, and put it in here. And what I'm going to do is mix it all together. That should take care of that for the time being. So we're going to adequately mix this together. And I look at it, and you know that the glitter is going to want to settle to the bottom. That's fine. So now that I've got it thoroughly mixed up, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put a lot in here because I'm going to try to do several coats. I don't want to do any coats that are over 2 or 3 thicknesses of paper thick. So I'm going to Just kind of put it in there, and then I'm going to move it around with a brush. Again, I don't want to get too much. Let's see where that takes us. And we'll move it around with a brush. Again, I don't want it real thick, if I can help it. So we'll sit here and move this around. And the glitter will have a tendency to settle to the bottom, which is fine. That's no real big deal. What we want to do is just get it evenly distributed around. Make sure we get material in all our areas. Like these, I got these a little heavy, but we'll just spread them around to other areas. Because we want to make sure we get a coat in all of our areas. That looks pretty good. Again, what I'm trying to do is not get too much thickness. Trying to just evenly distribute it, but I'm trying not to be too thick either. So just be aware of that. And don't forget these lines. If you got skinny lines, you don't want to forget them. And again, you want to make sure you got it distributed. You don't want it too thick. We're not trying to fill this up all in one setting. So that's with this dark color, and it looks pretty even. I'm pretty happy with it. That's looking pretty decent. Okay, on to the next color. Like I said, the next color is going to be these letters. I'm going to do them with this gold color. So like we did with the dark black color, the gold color we're going to mix in a small container. Again, take my glitter, pour some in the container. This one we're not going to need a bunch because we don't have a lot of area to cover. I'll go in, get some more bright tone. I'll only get one syringe full this time. And we'll mix this together. And we'll mix it together. And that looks pretty good. Again, I think I'm going to use a syringe this time to distribute it. And the reason being is it's a little bit more accurate for the distribution. So, what I'm going to do is fill my letters in, just kind of like what we did before. These are a little bit shallower, so we may end up filling some of these up in the first hit because of how shallow they are. Just make sure you get a good coat in there. Again, we're not really trying to fill them up. We're just trying to get us some base coat in there. Like I said, on these letters, we may end up filling them up right off the get-go. And the reason being is because they're a lot more shallow. When I carved these, I carved them at 60 thousandths. And the letters I carved at 40 thousandths. So we're not talking about a lot of depth here. As you can see, this is a pretty accurate way of filling them. And you save on product. Plus, we're going to have to sand this all down. So everything you put down that's not, you don't want it there, you're going to have to sand it off. So be aware of that. And again, I think I'll take my brush and just make sure it's tamped down in there good. Again, I'm not really looking to fill this in. This is my first coat. Now, like I said, on these letters, it may be the last coat before we start putting a bunch of clear on top of them. Again, all I'm doing is kind of tapping it to make sure my glitter is down in those letters. So far, I like the way this is turning out. I think I like that. Again, we're going to let that set for 4 hours before we do any more recoating. Now, decision time. Do I want to make all the numbers gold, or do I want to make them blue with the lines? I think I'll make them blue with the lines. So, again, we'll mix up some blue, and then we'll do the same thing that we did with the gold. So we get another little container, get our blue glitter, put it in our container here, get some bright tone, add it to our glitter. So we're going to thoroughly mix this up, and then we're going to apply this with the syringe like we did the gold. So we're going to pick some up. And we'll begin applying it. Again, we're going to do it just like we did the gold. Fill our areas in, and then we'll come back with the brush. Okay, I'm going to work it in a little bit with the brush. Again, you want enough flake so that our numbers and stuff have all the flake they need in them. Which means you probably will have to move this around a little bit. You get enough coverage in the groove. Problem is this flake is almost as big as the groove, so it's kind of hard to make sure you got enough in the groove. But this is looking pretty good. And again, all I'm doing is just moving the flake over the groove so it settles into the groove. That's all I'm doing with the brush. All I'm doing is settling it over the groove so it falls into the groove. There we go. And we'll continue on. It's been 4 hours, so we're ready to put another coat on. I don't think I have to do the blue or the gold. I think they're pretty well filled in. So I'm just going to do the black. Just like before, I'm going to put quite a bit of just like before, we're going to put quite a bit of glitter in it. Add some top coat and then fill in our spots. And all I'm doing is stirring it up real good. And we'll pour it in. This one will probably almost fill some of the spots. Just move it around, get rid of any bubbles. And again, what we want is the glitter to fall to the bottom. Let it dry. Wait another 4 hours. You gotta wait this time. If you don't, this hasn't had ample time to really dry, you'll end up having issues. So, let her dry and wait. Okay, welcome back everybody. It's been about 6-8 hours since I finished filling this in. I've got it pretty much filled in where I want it to be, and I've already started scraping off the excess. I usually scrape, then put a top coat down, bright tone on it, and then sand after that. And the reason for it is so I can fill in all the pinholes, if I have any, and take care of any other stuff that I don't like. And basically I have a very sharp chisel, and I just gently go at, not trying to cut through to the wood, just trim off that excess over the top of the wood. And this works pretty good. Again, you gotta go at it kind of gently, for the very fact if you get too aggressive, you're going to cut into the wood, and we don't want to do that. And I'll go at it from several angles. If it gets like really hard to go, I'll start going at it from different angles to see if I can leverage it up. So just keep on going at it and just trim off the excess. And again, like I said, I'm not really trying to totally get the color off. I'm just trying to trim it level without sanding, because when you get sanding, you'll get dust in those little crevices, and then at that point in time you can't get them out of your way, and then it's too difficult to get that dust out of those little pinholes. So if I do this and then put bright tone over it after I do this, it makes it a little easier as far as those pinholes. Okay, I scraped everything off. I put a coat of bright tone on. Now I'm going to sand it down all the way down. Okay, I've wiped it down with a wet rag, sanded it to 120. Now I'm ready to put another top coat on. And from here on, all of our top coats I'll be laying down bright tone, but it will be the whole thing. We're not trying to fill anything in now. So I'll get my bright tone out and put on a nice even coat. This coat will probably get sucked up a lot, for the very fact we basically took it right back down to raw wood. It's looking good. What we'll do is put 3 coats on, lightly sand it to level it, and probably put 3 more coats after that. So we'll let this set for 4 hours and come back and do another coat. Well, welcome back. We're done doing the finishing and the machining on the base. Now we're ready to assemble. Pretty simple assembly. Basically what we're going to do is attach the Lazy Susan to the base and then the Lazy Susan to the top. So let's do it. First thing I got to do is mark where I want to put the screws for my Lazy Susan. And these screws are pretty shallow, so I don't think we're going to have to really need anything to pre-drill the hole. I've already determined where I wanted it. I put it in the center, figured the center out, and put the Lazy Susan in its place. So let's go ahead and put these screws in. And then Now, one thing you don't want to forget is aligning your big holes with the Lazy Susan itself. For the very fact, this is where we access the other side to put our screws in. Okay? So let's get our other piece down here. And I'm going to get a rag so we don't scratch this thing all up. And let's go ahead and center this Lazy Susan base onto our thing. And I like to spin it around a couple times to make sure that it is centered. And you'll know if it isn't, believe me. There. Now our first hole is right here. And what I'm going to do is punch it and get my screw, put my screw in. Go around and find my next hole, which is right there. One thing you want to make sure is you don't use too long of screws, because they will go through it and come out the other side. We don't want that. So just be aware of that. Here's our next hole. And we should have one more hole that we got to do. That one's right there. And that should be it for that. And there we go. You could probably put more embellishments on it and stuff like that, but you also got to pay attention is if you're going to be using this for food, everything has to be able to be cleaned. So, something that you got to be aware of. I just like it like this. Like I said, you could put other embellishments on it if you want. That's not a big deal. So, it's got a nice finish. It's got several coats of Crystal-Lac clear on it, top coat. So it should be good to go. Hope you like the project. You can find more projects on nextwave.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors, nextwave.com, Silverback Woodworking, and KenCraft and Crystal-Lac for their assistance in making this video possible. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.